So Mamelodi Sundowns with this comfortable lead over Lamontville Golden Arrows. 3-0, Peter Shalolile up to 20 league goals this season. It's been one-way traffic in the first 45 minutes. Is there going to be a response from the team from Durban? They need at least a point to move into the top 8. This was always going to be a tough ask, but I don't think they expected that they would be on the receiving end of such a mauling as we've seen in the first 45 minutes. So let's see what response Arrows have got. Let's see if Mamelodi Sundowns put their foot back on the accelerator again in the second half. William Shongwe is alongside as our expert as for today's game. What do you reckon is going to happen in the second half?
I spoke of the freshness on in the game. Basically, that helps the team to play at a certain tempo throughout the 90 minutes. So I don't expect them to take the foot off the pedal at this stage. And even if the tempo does drop at any stage, there's still enough ammunition sitting on the bench that can be brought in to still transform the game into a higher tempo.
Well, there is going to be a triple substitution coming up. We'll have details for you in a moment or two of that. Certainly, perhaps a different complexion now here to the second half. Mamelodi Sundowns moving ever closer to the league title. Remember, just a couple of years ago, they took away Kaizer Chiefs' record of the most number of league title wins. 12 it was. Sundowns are now on 14. They're going to go to 15 at the end of the season. There are the changes now for Golden Arrows. Final instructions from Letlolo Nolo Siema on the left, Mabudi Kanyeza leading the discussion. I can see Motibang Sera, the Basotho international, one of those changes. We'll have details for you in a moment or two who the others, but it's a throw of the dice for the coaches, I suppose. Not unexpected, William. You've got to try and do something.
I mean, you look at the shots taken. I think one, it ended up in that first half on target. So that speaks volumes of how gallant the team has been in that attack. So to try and infuse a little bit of fresh legs into that attacking third, see if they can make sense of it.
Lionel Charlie is another of the changes for Arrows, and Ndwandwe, who's a crafty player. Willem Seni Ndwandwe has been with Arrows since the 2016 season. He scored 7 goals in the last campaign. He's had a lot of problems with the shin injuries over this last season or two. That's Sarah in picture there, the Basotho international. And Charlie too is right there. All attacking players here, so it really is a stab in the dark, as it were, by Arrows. Let's see if they can conjure up what could be or would be an absolutely fabulous comeback.
But here's the thing. Are we saying now that maybe Matwiza was failing his part to be able to create much? But I'm thinking to myself, there was not enough service that could put them in a position where they could even take a shot. There wasn't enough flow of the game into that taking dead. I mean, it ended up with 24% of the game happening in that department. Half of it was Sundowns just recycling the ball defensively. So big questions in attack, yes.
Players departing. Tizwa, as William has mentioned, Lungelo Dube is also off. And the final change, Konko. So, second half underway here at Loftus. The sun is shining. It's certainly shining on Mamelodi Sundowns and their title aspirations. They'll be moving on to 57 points if they hold on to this lead, and essentially edging closer within 2 matches of lifting the trophy once more. Have to wait, of course. They've got back-to-back games against Petro Atletico in the quarterfinal of the Champions League. Their next league match is on the 27th, right near the end of the month, when they host Cape Town City. That could be a rip-roaring affair here at Loftus. Could be a midweek match. Here's Shalolile playing back for Lekay. Return ball now. Looks to drive it in. Didn't really connect Lekay. Dlamini forward. Let's see if they get the new players going. This is Serra. Dealt with by Lebusa. Serra from Maseru and Lebusa from Velkom. A couple of hours travel between the two destinations. Steve Compera is spending most of his time up and about, and the fourth official now just pointing out to him that he needs to stand inside the technical area. There's been trouble with the referees this season already. Steve Compera spent some time in the stands suspended. No Rani Mokwena today. His grandfather unfortunately has passed away, so he's on special leave. We send our condolences from the commentary box.
Indeed.
Onyango.
Funny thing is, I was talking to Mangoba just about some of the things that they do in preparation. Then at some stage he says, I think you better talk to Rolani.
Here's Zwane. Overlap from Lekay. Zwane trying to curl it. It got a bit of a deflection. They need to clear this.
So what that tells you is the innovation and the stats says he's the one more responsible in reading them and being able to deliver to the rest of the technical team.
Well, the claim for a penalty comes from the crowd. The referee had a good look at it. He says corner.
Yeah, I think Zuke was a little bit caught for pace there.
Down with the trickery here. Goes one way. Was he looking for it, perhaps, Mudau?
He was definitely impeded. But now let's look at his shoulder. Does it land into the face of Zuke? In a way, I think Zuke stands on his way. And in his movement, he bounces off Zuke. Zuke is injured as well. But also, the impact is such that brings him down. He doesn't get to the ball, which was to his advantage.
Well, no penalty given by the referee. We will have a corner here for the home side. Mamelodi Sundowns coming into this game on the back of 6 successful wins. The last setback they had was that defeat in the closing stages against Maritzburg in the league. They've beaten Al-Ahly at home since then. They won twice in the Nedbank Cup, Al Hilal and Al Marik, home and away in Dan. And of course, that 4-2 win over Swallows in their last league match. They played one league match in their last 6 outings. The rest have all been Nedbank Cup or Champions League. Here's Lekay, left foot, gets the cross in, and Gumede looks a little nervy still after the first half.
Ndwando in front of him obviously obstructed him slightly, which made it a little bit clumsy on his part. If obviously you have zero reaction time from player in front of you, his own player, that must have made it worse.
Rolani, Serino. Jali. Onyango, there is Mudau on the right. George Manuleka. The temptation pretty soon from Mamelodi Sundowns to make changes and bring on some of the players who need a bit of playing time. We think of Neo Mayema, for example. He's one who has been battling a little bit with injury of late. Had a great first half of the season. Toby Mvala hasn't got enough games for a player of his quality. Sedi Kapinga is another who could do with some game time. There's Serino. At the same time, I suppose you don't want to let the show suddenly go off the boil. Zwane's pass back to the K a little bit short. Zwane with a foul. Another feature, William, of the end of the COVID regulations in terms of the spectators that we perhaps haven't pointed out, and our director will help us here as well. The players are back on the benches, have you noticed?
Yes.
They're not in the stands anymore. They're actually sitting alongside the coaching staff on the benches.
Great observation, Jason. Well done.
And of course, in the past, they have been sitting in the stands. Now, they can't be amongst the people anymore. Mamelodi Sundowns players, they're all heading out to warm up. And of course, the Arrows bench is pretty empty at the moment with all of the changes that they've made. Now, this is an opportunity. Header from Lebusa takes it away from Moteba Serra. Nice ball in from Arrows. More positive from the away side.
Fresh legs has helped freshened up things, and the idea is very key header from Lebusa because Tibang was lacking just behind.
Set piece has certainly got some interest there from Arrows. They had numbers forward for it. Now Zuke and Shalulile. Charlie gets there first. Holds off Dlamini. Finds Serino. Serino with a lovely little ball in here for Rolani. Is he going to go for goal? Hits the back of Zuke, who feels the sting there. Involved in a few wars now. There was a handball there, surely. Arrow's free kick. Well, surprised Rolani with the opportunity.
Sometimes you wonder if he was left-footed, could he? I thought it was a bit more central, a little more open for a direct shot, but he needed to bring it to his left or to his right to still maybe try and ping it into the far post.
Rolani, of course, spent the majority of his career playing overseas in Scandinavia. It's a bit of an unknown factor when Cape Town City signed him, already in his 30s. You just wonder, had he stayed in South Africa and played in the PSL, how big a star he might have been with the skills that he's got in his armory. The fact that he played in Scandinavia as well meant he went unspotted by the national team coaches of the time. You wonder how good he was over there, A, and B, whether by not going to go and look at South African players in places like Sweden and Denmark, you are doing them and the national team a disservice. You are missing out on talent. There is Serino.
Good point.
Here's Themba Zwane, who had the last touch. It looks as if it's come off Ndwandwe.
But now, could he have stayed in South Africa? Would he have made that much money? So I'm not sure what the figures are like there, but I'm just thinking there could be a situation whereby he maybe walked away with a little bit in his pocket than he would have had he stayed here.
That's also a good point.
And now he's still enjoying his best football, I'm sure. The money is not good at
Here's Mudau back inside. Serra clears it. Green still prepared to play here. Ooh, was there a little pull there?
From the captain.
Yes, that's a little bit worrying for Arrows. He hurt his groin. Sabia now out wide. He's always teasing inside. Charlie with a cross. Little flick on over the top. That's a lot more positive from Golden Arrows. Come out of the change room with a couple of new faces, and Ndwando got the final touch in here.
And Ndwando has this ability. He's in that middle alongside Mubeo Lamini in the absence of Lungelo, who went out in the half. But he's got this energy of getting himself into scoring position, Ndwando.
Well, I think that's no surprise that the change needs to be made. Sabisi last season played alongside Matiane, the veteran.
I think he's on the bench, Matiane.
But he has only just recently come back from injury himself. This is bad news for Arrows, particularly if they are to work their way into the top 8 places. Remember last season they had their best ever campaign.
I can tell you that's the only pressure that Siema does have now, that if anything that he can at least achieve is to help the team stay in the top 8, which is what they were able to achieve. But anything else, winning a cup, he's not under pressure. But that pressure is for himself, is what he's created for himself as well, which is commendable. I mean, you don't want just to be there and make numbers. You want to make a difference of your own.
Why do they bother with those shin pads these days, William?
I don't understand. Because honestly, you think even more now, the game being so fast. And because the players are afraid that these shin pads, the old ones, are a bit more heavier, which slow them down. But I'm sure there should be technology that can help them make them strong and still longer. At least lighter, should I say. This is exposure. The players are exposed here.
Well, that is very bad news for Arrows, with Sibisi going off. A huge player for them. Matiani comes on in his place. Now Brian Onyango almost got caught by the Arrows press. Sundowns get away with it. Here's Maluleka. Nice bit of skill from him. Finds Rolani. Serino, he handled the ball. No, he didn't. The referee was pretty close. It looked like it. Here's Rolani. No, that wouldn't have been a back pass. Surely he could have picked that up, Gumede.
Presence of mind, though, on his part. He's not going to take chances.
Free kick here for Sundowns. Rolani again with Serino providing the overlap or the distraction. Lekay, Serino, he is having a whale of a time, is Gaston Serino, just turning it on. He has the cross inside. They're looking for Shalolile for the hat-trick, and Zuke with the clearing header. Still 30 more minutes to be played here at Loftus. Plenty of opportunity for Mamelodi Sundowns to add a few more.
This, I'll give it to somebody maybe who will have the numbers to tell the story better. But there's moments in the game, particularly early in the second half, where Sundowns going to allow. And then they spring into action around the 70th and onwards.
Now we're done here. Serino now drives it across. Gumede saves the follow-up. It's bobbing around in that penalty area. Still alive. Rolani still doesn't pull the trigger, but he's still got possession. Look at those silky skills. Out wide to George Maluleka. Gaston Serino, this time he's offside. Well, there we go. That was a good opportunity for number 4.
Defending with their lives. Now, yes, if you look at all the players that were central of the box, they were offside.
Oh, really bobbing around there. Now back with a live play, because here comes Sundowns again. Out wide, this time offside against Zwane. Well, let's see if it was offside. Yeah, we will check.
Just, yeah.
I think he was. Yeah. Arrow's chance to go on the attack. They drive it across. Onyango gets a foot in. It'll be a corner. It is a rare set-piece opportunity here now for Golden Arrows, looking to reduce the deficit. Ninth corner of the game. 5-4 is the corner count in favour of Sundowns, who are about to bring on Maema and Safranco standing by to join the fray, as it were. That's a goal kick. Montebangsere climbing, but putting it wide. Now, this is that earlier opportunity again. The save from Gumede, the follow-up was half cleared away by Zuke. In fact, he turned it back towards his own goal. Made the necessary block. Maluleka. Across. And Shalulile. Shalulile hat-trick, yes! Shalulile, 2 successive league games. It's never been done before. He's done it now. Goal number 21 in the league this season. He just keeps on scoring. That was a little bit of a defensive mix-up, though, that he profited from.
But being a lead, and he always sensed the opportunity that might fall him, hangs around in that area where he could profit from. Yes, quality on his part. The players are fully aware of what's happening. That's why everyone, even from the bench, they all ran up to him, basically, because they understand just how important it is for him to be able to cross this line.
What a magical afternoon again. Peter Shalulile, he started his life as a left-back for the Namibian club Tura Magic. He has brought that magic to South African football at Highlands Park and now at Mamelodi Sundowns. He's turned into the top striker in the region. What a finish from the Namibian international.
Zuke, you think to yourself, shouldn't he have cleared the first time? He tries to walk the ball out of the area and lose his position. And Shalile says, I've scored very difficult goals in the past, but this one surely is a present.
A hat-trick in his last league game against Swallows FC. A hat-trick today. Serino's off. The party is over. Safranco will go on, and Neo Maema will go on too. Rolani is the other player who has departed, so the two creative players have gone off. Maema started the season so well, but then got bogged down a little bit by injury. 4-0. One more goal and it'll be the biggest winning margin of this league season.
The lesson is you can't afford to make those type of mistakes defensively if you're playing against them. A lot of coaches will tell you about that. Is if you're gonna make mistakes, you will be punished. Sundowns will punish you. It's a given.
What a great game he had. Surprise, Bradley Amethyst Rolani. He says, just call me Surprise. Mobamniti, the coach, of course, began his career at Golden Arrows. He famously won the MTN8 with them, and they hammered Ajax 6-0 at Orlando Stadium. Now he's looking to inflict a similar scoreline on his old charge, his old club.
The 6th goal in that game.
Was that the backspin one you like so much?
I think Mangane was the player from a very tight end.
Yes, incredibly tight. He got a backspin on it, and
Yes.
it just sort of put the seal on most extraordinary cup performance. It was the week before Ajax hired the very famous Foppa Dahan, who went on to become a very good coach for them and took them within 1 point of the title. You remember that? But he was in the crowd watching this. And can you imagine? This is the club you're about to take on, and they lose 6-0 in the cup final. Now, what's happened there with Mchali? Well, it's obviously an injury. He came on at half-time. He's been replaced here by Gumede,
who, of course, is an attacking player who can play as the top man in the absence of Mutiza.
Now, does he look injured? I'm not sure. He's talking to the physios. I'd like to think that's an injury, William. He wouldn't take off a player who's hardly had a chance to do anything just yet. The reaction from the coaches as well, as he came off, was almost to suggest, bad luck, son, we feel for you.
You know what? For some reason, I don't think so. I think with the fourth goal being conceded, and that changes the frame of the mind on how Arrows would like to play. And I was trying to look at the top formation as well. They didn't quite have an out and out.
Well, they're going with another striker, Gumede, alongside
so there's reason now they want to play with two, which still trying to make a game out of it. But it'll be nice to hear from the bench exactly what would have been the reason, injury or tactical.
Well, the bench don't want to let us know we're here. We have gone to ask them. They're using the famous no comment response. So that might stay a mystery until afterwards.
Which,
well, I would like to think it's an injury, but I think you've got it. I think you're right, William, and because you're much more knowledgeable, I'm going to go with you.
Chris, you've been long in the game. For me, the reluctance to be able to give us the reason might be more tactical.
Yes, exactly.
And you know, sometimes it's difficult to explain this thing in 2 words or so to make whoever is asking understand. So rather not comment.
We only got 2 words, no comment. Now, Gumede.
Of course, we might misquote them.
Forward from Ndlovu, cut out by Lyle Lekay. Clock says around about 20 minutes left here at Loftus Versfeld on this Tuesday afternoon. Don't forget Orlando Pirates up against Baroka FC from Polokwane. That's coming up later this evening on your World of Champions. Tomorrow there's a very big game in the NFD, in the Glad Africa Championship, with Amatax hosting Richards Bay. Richards Bay have got a slender 1-point lead at the top of the table. If Tuks win that game, they'll go 2 clear. That's being played just down the road here tomorrow afternoon. Live coverage on your World of Champions. And there'll be more Glad Africa Championship football on Friday night with Cape Town Spurs. Sean Bartlett's team will be hosting Polokwane City at the Athlone Stadium. We'll be showing that live to you as well, so you can see some of the contenders for promotion. Some of the clubs who are hoping to maybe even get into those playoffs at the end of the season. The points difference might be a bit too much for Spurs, but there are other sides who look to be fairly far down the log, but it's quite tight there in the Glad Africa Championship.
Would you say that maybe it's about time for Amatax as well to bounce back? But having said that, do you think Richards Bay has come so close last season in particular, and it didn't happen? So would it mean that this is their year as well to win it like this?
Well, to my mind, they're a fascinating club because they sell everybody. I mean, they sold their entire team over the last 2 seasons, yet they're still contenders. They've sold a lot of players. If you look around this top flight, the DStv Premiership, there are a lot of players ex-Richards Bay. But they seem to have a wonderful supply line of talent there.
I mean, Dube from Kaiser Chiefs were key, and Veluyege Zulu from Chippa United. Those were like in that defense. They were solid. And they know more, but the team is still. I mean, there's more, like you say.
Double change coming up for Mamelodi Sundowns, and Toby Mvala is one of them. I think Kapinga might be the other. It is still 3 players available to 3 substitutes still available for the champions, having brought on Safranco and Maema so far. It's Lebogang Maboe, sorry, is the other man, along with Mvala. Maboe, another who's recovered from a very bad injury, suffered in training in pre-season. Out for a very long time. Good to see him back in action. Has been a month or so now since he's played, or since he has started playing, or resumed playing, I should say.
Great moment as well. The pressure is off the backs of Sundowns, so it's a great opportunity to bring players that hasn't had much game time, just to blend them in with those that obviously have been playing since the season started.
So the right back Mudau goes off, and Andile Jali goes off.
He has played as a right fullback, my boy.
But surely they're going to go to Less at the back and push him up. Vala straight into Jali's position.
Yeah.
Another strong performance from him. Great season he's having. This is his best since his heyday at Orlando Pirates.
In the fact that he's been able to play consistently throughout, which is, I think, has been the problem in the past. It's not like he has bad games as such, but it's because he doesn't play on a continuous basis.
Well, that was also a lot to do with that dodgy hamstring of his. He kept breaking down with a hamstring injury. Serra now has a look up. Here's the cross inside. Can Arrows get a consolation? Maema. Lekay. Here's Zwane. Shalulile is going to be careful not to go offside. This might be a chance for the ball to come back into Shalulile. Zwane Safranco snaps up the half chance. It's 5-0. It's the biggest winning margin in the DStv Premiership this season.
He's making a big habit of it, Safranco, coming in even if it's late with a few minutes. He scores, and there he is.
And another quiz question for you. Who does he like scoring against the most? You'll remember from the beginning of the season in the MTN 8. He got one down in Claremont.
Yes, Arrows, of
and
course.
He scored in the return match. Bring me Arrows every week, says Pablo Safranco.
Initially defended well, but again, I think the lack of marking in the box. You can't mark space from there. You can't mark zonal. You got to be as tight as you can get.
Well, they won 5-0 against semi-professional opposition on Saturday. Now they're 5-0 up against another team from KwaZulu-Natal. In fact, one of the biggest teams from KwaZulu-Natal. Safranco scored in the Nedbank Cup on Saturday, so 2 in a row for him. William, we're also looking at a bit of a record here today. Heaviest defeat ever for Golden Arrows, 5-1 against SuperSport United in February 2001. 5-1 against SuperSport United in November 2006. They've never lost by 5 goals. They've only lost previously by 4 goals. This is going to be the heaviest defeat for Golden Arrows.
If they don't get one.
If they don't get one. Maema with a little bit of a slap. Welcome to the game. He's a tough customer, Zuke. He's had a good season, actually. He's, of course, kept Matiani out of the team, and at the same time had a little knock on the door with the national team. Well, Coach Siema.
Well, the drum is back. Just over the weekend, it was the burial. Sundowns fans are mourning the death of John Black, who was the drummer man. And seemingly somebody is taking over. You can hear it's happening just to keep his spirit alive, the Sundowns fans.
Shalulile is going to be taken off, and Kermit Erasmus is going to come off. No sense of the occasion yet, Mamelodi Sundowns. Leave him on. Let him score 5 like Daniel Madal did once before. Safranco, ball inside.
Well, when I spoke about the lull into the second half, and to see how they've responded after the 65th, 70th minute, 2 goals.
Peter Shalulile will come off to a standing ovation here from the crowd. This was the final one of his 3 here this afternoon, taking advantage of the slip by Zuke. Kermit Erasmus will replace him. 21 league goals. It hasn't been done since Collins Basuma in 2005. Yeah, they come again. Erasmus, left-footed, puts it over the top. Could have done a lot better there. First touch goal, that would have been something special.
Could it because maybe he applied it with his left, which, you know what, you'll be surprised that he's not so bad with his left.
He does well with both feet.
Yes.
That's why he'll be a little disappointed, I think. Cape Town City next for Mamelodi Sundowns in the league. Before that, of course, the weekend game in the African Champions League, and indeed the return the weekend thereafter. Golden Arrows will have an 11-day break before their next league match, which is home against Sekhukhune United. A chance maybe to get themselves back on track. They lost at home to Stellenbosch in their last match. They've beaten Chiefs away from home and SuperSport at home. 2 games before that, they were looking good for a top 8 place, and now there's a shot that is wide of Onyango's goal.
Much better. A little bit of a nice passing game in that taking there, which is normally not the easiest, but just look at how they squeeze it in between the pockets, and they need to do a bit more of that. And Arrows can do that. For some reason, Sundowns were just too good to allow them to come up with those passing passages.
There is Shalulile with a hat-trick. You think he'd be a little bit happier.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. It looks like he's coming from a losing team. Man is serious about life, eh?
10 minutes to go, yeah. Down the right-hand side, Lebo Maboe, as you suggested earlier, will play out wide on the right. Mvala, he knows how to score on these days at Highlands Park. Maboe, can they make it 6? Counter, led by Mordi. He was playing in the Glad Africa Championship last season, been one of the better buyers of this campaign.